Good morning. It's still a morning. It's 11 and 10 minutes, and today on Supernatural Supernatural's Journey um, live show, we are going to have our guest Jor'El Mitchell, and we are about live a fulfilled life. I don't know exactly what that means, but I would be very, very happy to talk about this amazing topic with my friend, which he is a writer, he's an entrepreneur, he's a brand specialist, he's a public speaking, he's a model, he's a artist, and he's an excellent human being. I have the honor to introduce you, Mr. Jor'El Mitchell in the building.
Hey, Sergio, how are you?
I am amazing, man, as always.
I am very, very privileged and humbled that you invited me on your show. I'm really excited. I've seen what is this? The fifth one now?
Six,
The
six.
sixth one. And
Yeah.
I remember when I first met you, and I you were this buzzing beam of energy and positivity, and I was like, when you step into your zone and when you start to move in the direction that you want to move, amazing things are going to happen. And then I just suddenly saw that you started doing this show, and every single time the different subjects and how deep you go is absolutely amazing. So it's a great pleasure for me to be here.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, everything has started, like I was following this kind of talk shows like Impact Theory with Tom Bileo,
Hmm.
if you ever heard,
Hmm.
or maybe the School of Greatness with Lewis House or Joe Rogan. These guys, they've been doing it for years and years, and they are specialists.
Hmm.
But I think we are going to overcome them because we going so deep into the soul of people that yeah, it's important, I think, in life to know exactly who are you, to discover yourself
Yes.
before going out and share your vision with others. So tell me a little bit, who is right now Jorel?
Well, it's been an amazing journey, and I'm very, very happy to say that Jorel is someone that has found his calling and has grabbed it with both hands and is has transformed his life with it. And I'm so passionate about that because there was a time in my life where I had, in a sense, I believe, lost direction. So, oftentimes people will look at you externally and think that you have the most wonderful life. So, you're working a wonderful job. So, I was an engineer and I was earning a six-figure salary. And, I had all the trappings of the world. I had what people would on in textbook look at and think that it was wonderful. But I hated it, Sergio. I hated it with a passion. And I'm sure people out there can relate to waking up every morning and feeling like they just want to hit the snooze button and go back to bed, or waking up every morning and going to work a 9 to 5, and then feeling like, what am I doing here? I've got so much more that I can offer, so much more that I can give. And I found myself in that situation actually because I had an accident at the age of 16. And before the accident, I had loads of things that I wanted to do. I knew exactly what my purpose was or my calling was, so I thought. Right, so I was enjoying life. I was a gymnastics coach by the age of 13. I then started to like train teams, and I was also teaching adult gymnastics. I was singing, I was performing, I was doing all of those things, which, and I was showing great promise in that. And then after my accident, where I tried to a move where I kind of was in the air going round once, and I went to go around the second time and chickened out and literally landed on my head and neck. And everything shifted. And I think people can relate to that time where there's this thing that happens that rips the rug from under your feet and you hit rock bottom. And that was the time for me. And so I ended up having, as a result of that, I had a lot of pain and residue left inside my body. And it culminated with me having to go to the doctor, who then told me, or the hospital, sorry, and to have an operation. Because of the accident, I kind of got what they call a curvature of the spine, which
Yes.
meant that my body wasn't aligned, and so I was putting a lot of pressure on one particular part of my body. And after a while, the body can only compensate for a period of time, and then it gave out, and I ended up with my knee being locked. And so when I went to the hospital, they told me that some cartilage had broken out in my knee, and that the operation would mean that I'd have to be in cast for 18 months. And basically, that 18 months turned into 10 years, and there I was as an engineer working for Network Rail with what seemed to be the amazing life, but really just hating life inside. And then there was that transitional moment where I decided that, well, actually, I think it was decided for me. And I always think that life will constantly keep poking and prodding at you to get you to really find your calling. And I think that's a real key message to anyone that's watching. If you are going through many highs and then you have really extreme lows, and you question yourself, you're like, well, why is this happening? Why is this happening to me? I challenge you to actually look at your life and really look deep within yourself and figure out whether you are truly doing what you know you should be doing. Because lots of us get caught in what I call a purpose game, right? So oftentimes people say to you, you've got to find your purpose. And so people think, yeah, that's what I'm doing. But I strongly disagree with that, because I believe that we have to go one step further if we want to really transform our lives and really be making the impact that we were born to do. And I believe that we need to find our calling, because I always use the example of a tree. Now, if you look at a tree, it has a purpose. So we can use a tree to make a table. And in that moment, the purpose of the tree is that table, right? And we can use the tree to make a frame of a house, let's say. We can create many purposes for that tree, but the tree only has one calling. And that calling is when its roots are deep into the ground and when it's shooting up feet into the air and its leaves are exchanging oxygen and carbon dioxide for oxygen. That is when the tree is living its calling. And there's nothing else apart from that that can be its calling. And I am a strong believer that we are all, and I'm going to get back to my story, but we are all designed for a specific calling, but we get lost in a purpose. And so I was lost in a purpose. I was lost in Network Rail's purpose. And I was an engineer for Network Rail. And then one day my boss came to me and he said, can I see you in the office? So I went to see him. I didn't think there was any issues or any problems. And then he then told me that he no longer needed my services. So of course I inquired why, and he said because they've got some new technology, so they've got some new machines in, and they think they can run the operation with less engineers. And because I was the most expensive resource in the building, being a contractor, I was going to be the first one that they were going to let go. So effectively, I was replaced by a machine. And we're seeing that more and more lately. And that's a key point. The reason why I highlight that is because later on down the line, it's gonna all connect back. So I was replaced by a machine. And when you're hit with something that literally 1 minute you're there and the next minute your life is flipped upside down, there's two ways to look at it, right? You can either be woe is me and you can go into that negative space, that space that really doesn't serve you. It's a space which stops you from being creative, stops you from seeing the opportunities around you, and makes you very blinkered in your vision. Or you can look at it as an optimistic opportunity and look at how you can turn that situation into something positive. And for me, that's how I chose to look at it. And in that moment, I felt a fire light inside me. And I realized that this was an opportunity for me to really find out what it was I wanted to do and for me to pull all those talents and those skills and those things that I'd put away because of the injury and had put them away for 10 years. And I am, you may agree with me, Sergio, but I'm a strong believer that when the student is ready, then the mentor, the coach, or the opportunity will arise. And I had an opportunity to go to my first branding event, and I never knew what branding was. I just knew it was a buzzword. I knew it was something that everyone was doing. I would look on the TV and I would constantly hear people referring to themselves as brands, like celebrities and stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go and investigate this. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Take every opportunity by both hands, right? And try. So I went to this event, and the lady there was said something really, really poignant. And it was in terms of what do you brand? And it was, and they explained that you brand your passions, your talents, and your skills, and your unique life story. Because when you bring all of these juicy things together, you then realize that you have a very powerful message. And that's the thing. It's your message, your calling, which is what you brand. And I literally, that just was a light bulb that went off in my head. I grabbed that and decided that I was going to go out and brand myself. And I became fanatical about branding because I believe that sometimes one of the things we have to recognize with our callings is that you are not necessarily, and oftentimes people can put their calling to one side because they believe, oh, that can't be me. I don't have the knowledge right now. I don't have the skills to do that right now. It can't, that's just a dream. That's just a fantasy. That's just a fad. And I always like to point out to people that in fact that is a clear sign of when it is a calling, because your calling has a dual purpose, right? The calling has its first purpose is to grow you and develop you into the person that you are meant to be, which indicates that if you feel that you're not there yet, then it's definitely something that you should be doing, right? And then your calling is then to help you to impact as many people as possible. So I say that to say I became fanatical. So I went to every branding thing going. I worked with gurus such as Ty Lopez, with such as Ted McGrath. I just went in to, because this was something that I was so passionate about. And by doing that, I accumulated so many skills and so much knowledge. And I began to start helping people, started helping my clients, and people were starting to get results. And I remember it very, very clearly because sometimes when you are on your path to where you need to be, you can sometimes get waylaid. You know, you can sometimes get distracted. And so I realized that I was using those skills to help others, but I still wasn't doing what I needed to do for me. And so it was, I think it's just over a year now. I went onto Instagram. I had my name, I'd already got the name. But you know, when you go onto Instagram, and anyone that hasn't used Instagram yet, but is looking to start moving into, you know, branding themselves, looking to extend their business, looking to begin to really build relationships with their audience, I definitely recommend that you go onto Instagram. But so I secured my name. And I remember just over a year today, I went and changed the name to Hi, I'm Jor'El. I posted my very first picture in the start of my own personal brand, and things have just literally taken off from there. And now I have the pleasure of um, traveling around the countries, motivating people with my story and sharing my message with people. I've been asked to host, to present. I've won awards. I've got as you said, I'm an upcoming author, and I've got a platform that's coming out. There's so many exciting things. And what I'm really, really excited about is the fact that I can now say that I am the founder of a unique strand of branding called Cyber Celebrity Branding. And essentially what I do is I show people how they can take their calling Yeah. So even if you don't know what your calling is, I show you how you can find that and tap into that. And some people may have their callings, like some people may have their businesses and they're really excited. So we take that calling and then what we do is we package it because many times, and I'm sure people that are watching this show right now are familiar with the term thought leader and authority, right? You're familiar with that, Sergio.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
It's something that is so prevalent within our industry, especially if you're like coaching. And we're always being told that you can become a thought leader or you can become an authority. Well, I strongly disagree with that. Right?
Mm,
It's not about the thought leader or the authority. I believe that we now have the opportunity to be a celebrity in our chosen field. And it's all about perception, right, Sergio? Yeah. So when you think about a celebrity, and when I was looking around and I was like, well, what are we doing when we're branding ourselves? What are we doing, right? So when you're branding yourself, effectively what you're doing is you're finding your message and you're packaging it in a way that helps you to stand out. And you want to stand out because if you've got a calling and you've got that message, you need to make impact, right? So
yes.
when you're branding yourself, you find that calling, you package it so that you now have massive impact. And I don't mind whichever celebrity, because there's different types of celebrity. Let's make that clear. Now, I'm not just talking about the Beyoncés that can sing, or I'm not just talking about the Kim Kardashians, the reality TV stars, but Richard Branson, one of the biggest business moguls ever. He
Yes.
is a celebrity, right?
Oh, yes.
Oprah, massive inspiration to all of us around the globe, is a celebrity. Yeah. So we've got celebrities right across the board. Some of you may know the Joe Wicks. Joe Wicks, the body coach. He's rising and he's becoming a celebrity. And he started off as a personal trainer, right? He's a very interesting
Yes.
story, which we'll revisit. And I say that to show that you have celebrities in different fields. So we can become a celebrity in our chosen field. And what does that mean? Right? All celebrities have three things in common. So if you need a pen, write that down and get a pen now and write these down so you're very, very clear. Right. So this is the insider secret to their success.
One second.
Yeah.
One second.
All right.
Let me get a pen.
You're going to get a pen as well.
Yeah, 'cause
We will
I
lead by
forgot my
example.
agenda.
Yes. So this
Okay.
is the insider secrets as to why all of those celebrities, because they were normal people. Let's think about it. Think about Richard Branson's story. He tells you about how he started off in his bedroom, right? And selling products
Yes.
from there. He was a normal
But
person. Go on.
sorry to interrupt. I started on my living, with Elon Musk and Singapore, and I'm starting on my living this show, right? As a
Right.
joke.
Right. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? So
But it's
every
getting serious.
it's getting serious. And the reason why it's getting serious, and I'm going to share those three things. Remind me, Sergio, if I don't, but this is really cool, yeah? Because and this is why I'm so passionate about branding, right? Because when you start something off as a joke, right? As you said, it's a joke and then suddenly it gets serious, right? And now
Yeah.
you've began to start branding your show because it's got a specific name and it's now running regularly, yeah? So when
Yes.
you create your brand, yeah, you make a contract with the universe. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That is the point. It's no longer just something that you have inside yourself, which you give yourself the get out clause. The moment you step out there and you brand it, you create a contract with the universe, and it helps you, because what I like to get people to think is everything's energy, right? Yeah, you've heard that term.
Totally. Yes.
Everything is energy. So some of us believe that when we come up with these romantic notions like, oh, I want to do this, or I want to.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Because I'm not able to hear Jorel anymore. Thank you so very much for everybody watching. I appreciate your time being, because you could have been anything else. Ciao, Carlo. Hi, Peter. Looks like we lost the connection. We are waiting to get him back. Is anybody, please just drop in a one if you can hear me. Okay, fabulous. 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 Thank you very much. Yeah, I think Jor'El lost connection and we are going to wait him to get back on track. However, said that is like any question that you have, I would be very, very happy to take it and to discuss about it, as we are all about our audience. We want to understand what is the problem that we are struggling. Okay, okay, we bringing back now Jor'El. Yeah, I made him disappear, Amanda, right? Yeah, he's coming now. He's on the way. He's traveling with the speed of light, and he's going to be in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, getting ready. Bogdan, yes, what I'm taking, you want some as well. I'm taking, bro, the ancient wisdom of the greatest teachers that ever lived in the humanity. This is what I'm consuming my time, and is not some substance. It's just the pure essence of their wisdom and their virtues and their experiences back in the days. Connection failed again. Okay, let's try again. Jorel, I think, brother, I think you are in a... Okay, back on track.
Not sure what happened there.
Yeah. Maybe it was the universe trying to take us off, but
Yeah,
was
we're
just a...
we're back. We're back.
Yes.
So, should we continue?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So as I was saying that the reason why I'm so passionate about branding is because when you decide to you come across your calling, and oftentimes, as I was saying, everything is energy. Yeah.
Yes.
So sometimes we believe when we have a romantic notion, like we feel like we want to impact millions of lives, or we feel like we want to become a motivational speaker, whatever that dream or that idea is. We sometimes believe that we've just conceived it off our own accord, or it's just one of these things that's just popped into our head. But I like to think of thoughts as energy, and therefore I believe that these things are actually born energy things outside of ourselves, which use us as a vehicle to be born into the world. Right? So when you
Yes.
get one of these ideas inside your head, recognize that this is an energy force that wants to use you. It's chosen you. It's such a privilege. It's chosen you to be the vehicle to spread and impact people with that energy and that message. So um so it's a key thing. It almost becomes a duty and a call. And so once you get that and you then brand it, you make the contract to say, yes, I am going to do this. And once you make that solid stamp, then you realize then it becomes really exciting and it becomes really interesting, because the opportunities will just start to open up, and the pathway will just start to clear its way for you, and all the resources and all the things that you needed, that you thought and you held yourself back from doing it because you didn't think you had those resources, suddenly become available. Look at you, Sergio, your classic example. As you said, you've just started doing this thing, and so far you've been consistent, you've been regular. You've got people, different types of people from different walks of life turning up onto your show. You've now got that vision where you're going to surpass some of the greats. These are all real juicy keys to branding, right? And then when we
Yes.
look to take it to that next level, which is the cyber celebrity branding, we're looking at positioning you not as a thought leader, not as an authority, because you now have the ability to stand out as a celebrity. And the reason why I say that is I'm going to go back to those three things which I was going to speak about earlier.
Yes.
So we talked about Richard Branson. We talked about look at Lord Sugar again, someone that explains that he came from humble beginnings. Right, Oprah Winfrey. I mean, she came from the humblest of beginnings. Yeah, so let's not get lost in the stardom. Let's bring it back to the bare bones and reality. They were normal people. They are people, and they are normal people. And I'm going to show you what the difference is between us and them. Right, but what I'm saying is, in the beginning, they were normal people, for want of a better word, regular guys like you and I. And what did they do? Three things. First of all, they recognized that they had a calling. They recognized that they had something bigger, or a message that they had to impact the world, not just people. They impact the world with, right? So that's the foundational point for anyone that's looking to brand. That's the foundational point, the calling. Once you find the calling, the first thing they recognize is that they had to become a brand. So that's point number one. All of these people, as I said, that had humble beginnings, recognized that the first thing that they had to do was take their calling and make it into a brand, right?
Yes.
Because it's like a bat, like Batman signal. Yeah, like when they're calling Batman and that beam shoots across the sky. Have you ever seen that?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, tell me about it.
Okay, so if you've ever watched one of the like the Batman films, yeah, whenever Batman's needed, like whenever the civilians are in danger, the policeman always goes to his to the light, and he switches it on, and then there's this beam of light that shoots across the sky, and then Batman will
Yes.
see it, and then he will go to wherever the danger is. He knows that his services are needed. Yeah,
Yes.
that's a very similar thing which we do when we brand, right? That beacon of light goes out and people can now start to recognize it. Yeah, people now start to recognize that your help is on the way. They're beginning to recognize that you have a solution to their problem, right?
Totally.
So then the second thing that they recognized, and I'm talking about how people like Oprah Winfrey and Richard Branson and Lord Sugar, how they began to ascend to the levels that they are now. The second thing is they recognized that they had to create a celebrity status, right? They had to create a status. Now, what do I mean by status? Status is all about the point of view that your audience has about you in their minds, right? So it's not about,
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do with you. You can talk about yourself in whatever particular way you want to all day long. It's about how someone perceives you. What story do they have about you in their minds? That is what your status is.
Well, you see, but like perceive, it's really something very, very intriguing, I can
Mhm,
say, because some people can perceive you from their own reality,
mhm,
which sometimes it's something very damaging for your lifestyle that you've been living, right?
mhm.
So before that, um, how can you discover your calling or your purpose? How a person is willing to accept that they have to learn about themselves, to
Mhm,
discover themselves first,
mhm, mhm.
and then they have to build up and think about the brand, right? So how can we connect with the inner being?
Right. Well, one of the things that I always talk about connect with the inner being, and one of the things that I use is I use meditation. I like to think of it as like alone time. Yeah. And I think that's a very key point that you make. And when you think about the brand is not separate to you, right? The
It's part
brand
of you,
is
yes.
you. Yeah. It's just an extension of yourself. It is you. And so it's people's perception, as you said, it could be they could view you in a negative way, right? But the whole idea is you're not looking to change their perception, you're looking to change yourself, which in turn will change the perception, if that makes sense. So
Yes, yes, yes.
one thing we have to recognize as human beings, the only thing, and this often causes people a lot of pain, because people often think that they can change somebody else's behavior, or they often think that they have control over how somebody else is going to react. The only thing that
Never.
we have control over is ourselves, right? And when we
Yes.
recognize that we are the only thing that we have control over ourselves, if we want to affect somebody else in a different way, we have to start with ourselves. And that is the key to life. Don't think if you're with a partner, or and you're together, and I don't know, they're constantly nagging at you, or they're constantly and you're constantly having issues, or there's an aspect of their behavior that you don't like, you will be banging your head against a brick wall if you constantly go after them trying to get them to change that behavior pattern that you don't like, right? Because that is not in your control, right? But what you can do is be in control of what you will tolerate or what you will take, and in control of keeping your energy of a high vibration. And if that comes to the point where you recognize that this relationship isn't working for you or is toxic for you, then the only thing that you can do is move on,
Yes. Accept
accept,
and let go.
and let go, because trying to change the other person's behavior is not going to happen. So I think it's
Taking the
fundamental.
energy away from you.
Yeah. And then you're always on the effect side of things. You know, you're always being affected. Life, something's always happening to me. I've got no control over my life. You're always in that position of victim, right?
Yeah.
Because you believe that you're at the mercy of somebody else's behavior. But when you recognize that you are only in control of you, and there are going to be instances where you have to accept and then let go, then you begin to shift the balance and become what I call what is known as the on the cause end of things, where you know that you are in control of your own destiny, right? And when you
Yes.
start working on yourself, and a very simple thing to do, as you said, to begin to look for your calling, is just to have some alone time. Yeah, you don't even need to go into meditation or go very, very deep. Just give yourself some time to just really begin to think about what it is that you want to do, and ask yourself questions, right? Understand that you're always connected with your higher self, and your higher self always understands, is perfect. Your higher self is perfect and is always there to guide you. Yeah. So you're always connected with that, but you need to remember to ask the right questions. Yeah. And you start to
Totally.
ask yourselves, and then the answers will start to come. But what you then have to do is, what you recognize is, when you start asking these questions, things are going to start shifting. You may realize that people that were around you are not around you anymore. Or you might realize that people are getting very agitated by being in your presence. And the reason is because it's time to shift energy. Yeah, it's time to let go of the old, let go of the things that are not serving you, and time to move on. And I think oftentimes people can look at those things and see them as a negative thing. Yeah, they don't recognize that
Yeah.
these massive transformations on the other side is going to be positive, and then they give up and go back into their shell, because their light was beginning to shine really, really brightly, and people were becoming threatened by it. or people were becoming intimidated by it, or they were noticing a shift or a change. And as a result, they reacted in what seemed to be a negative way, which then caused the person who was shining brightly to retreat. But when you recognize that by asking these questions and starting to work on yourself to really understand your calling and spending alone time with yourself, that you've got a connection with a bigger purpose, it will begin to create the necessary shifts in your life, which may present itself as anger or agitation or annoyance from other people, because you then need to recognize it's time to let it go. But one thing you don't do is stop shining. Yeah, one thing you don't do is retreat back. You keep blossoming. Yeah.
Consistency.
Consistency, yes, definitely.
'Cause, for example, it happened like I have so many naysayers and people that believe that I'm taking drugs um, lately, they see me so a total different person, spiritual, like very organized, and I don't waste my time with with them anymore, and they believe that I'm on drugs. I
Mm.
mean, they believe that I'm crazy, that I am not what I used to be, and people have a perception about you that you are not part of their reality, and they don't really understand your calling or your mission. Or yes, yes. So we can see, ladies and gentlemen, we can see that I'm not really talking, but Jor'El, you have answered so many questions up to
Yes.
now. So basically, it's like you reading my mind. This means that you are an excellent speaker and you know exactly your skill. Okay, so after recognizing the calling and to become a brand, first, second, recognize that we have to create a celebrity status,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
What is three?
The third thing is that you have to find a system that enables you to turn regular people into devoted fans. Yeah, that's what they did. They found their system, and the system is through the problems that they were able to solve. Yeah. And
Yes.
what I want to really begin to drum home is the reason why I say that every single person out there right now that's watching, I can't see who's watching and who's commenting, but I know you are out there watching and commenting. Every single one of you have the ability to position yourself as a celebrity, because the world has shifted, right? The technological evolution has caused a massive, sorry, go on.
Sorry, because I interrupt you. Somebody at the door. You
Aha,
continue talking,
I
yeah?
will
Because people
continue.
are watching, yeah? I'm coming
Beautiful.
in 30 seconds.
So the world has shifted. The technological evolution has created a very interesting space, because I know some of you that are watching right now, even though I've explained that, the people like Oprah Winfrey, Lord Sugar, all started with humble beginnings. And I've explained that. But yet still, we can still get lost in the celebrity, and we can then turn to things and say, wow, but they've got lots of money behind them, or they had lots of support behind them, got the mail. And they have access to resources that I didn't have. And I would have agreed with you if 10 years ago or even 12 years ago, I would have agreed with you. Yeah, I would have agreed that they had access to things that we didn't have. And that is one of the reasons why they have been able to become a celebrity, and we have to stick to being authorities and thought leaders. However, the world has changed since the technological revolution. And one of the things that I did, and it's in my book, I did a tracked a journey of how celebrity changed over the years, and when it started right back to in like the Roman time, the Romantic times, and when we had emperors and we had gladiators, and I traced it. And the one thing that it did was that it became more and more accessible over time. Then we hit this point where we had reality TV, which was the next stage, and we had all of these normal people being given access to the old media gateways, and they were now becoming celebrities in their chosen field. But now it's become even more accessible with the birth of the internet, right? And so I'm going to give you three things why now is the time to be living your calling and your dream. And now is the time why you can position yourself more than just a thought leader and more than just an authority in your field, why you can position yourself as a celebrity, right? And the first thing is old media versus new media, right? So before the birth of the internet, all we had was old media. And what do I mean by old media? Newspapers, TV, radio, billboards. Now, when we look at all of those four things, the common denominator is they were expensive. Number one. Number two, they were clearly guarded by gatekeepers, right?
Still are.
They still are.
Still are.
Exactly. They still are. But I'm going to show you how you can surpass that. Well, I'm coming. But yes, they are guarded heavily by gatekeepers, right? So you had to win the favor of a gatekeeper who would then sign you up to a massive contract, yeah, where you sign your life away and you sign your talent, your skill away to them. They would then give you access to those old media gates. And
With
then
conditions.
with conditions, yep, with conditions based in that contract. And then what they would then do is they would then say, okay, you can, now you have the opportunity to make an impact in the world. And we'll put you on the TVs, we'll put you on the radios, we'll put you on the newspapers, and we will make you into this celebrity, right? But then technological revolution and in comes new media. And when I say new media, so we're using a form of new media now, Facebook, which is a part of social media. But then you've got YouTube, you've got vlogging, you've got blogging, you've got podcasts, Facebook, Instagram lives, Facebook lives. You've got all of these resources, right? And in the beginning, they're free. And if you want to, you can now put some money behind them and you can take it to that next level. But it's a fraction of what you needed back in the day when you were at the old media gates, right? So we can see there's a clear landscape shift. And it's now opened up the gateway to becoming a celebrity in your field. So that's the first thing, right? The next thing, which I think is so powerful, because with this thing, you will realize that you do not need to have a massive startup to start living your calling. With this thing, you will realize that you do not need to think too far outside of the box to make your calling happen. And the thing that I'm talking about is the difference now between entertainment and information. Yeah. What do I mean by that? So to be a celebrity back in the day, it was through the roots of entertainment. So you had to have that one amazing gift, or you had to have that one amazing skill for you to be recognized by the gatekeeper, for them to want to sign you up and for them to then push you through those gates, right? Or you had to get an investor that would have given you that £2 million budget to boost behind you to be able to get you to that point where you could begin to advertise your product so many people could see it. But now, since the birth of Google, information trumps entertainment all day long. And the beauty of information is we all have it inside our heads. Every single person has information that they can share with other people, right?
Exactly, because the phone nowadays is just an extension of yourself, right? And with your phone, if you go on internet, you can find the answer to any single question. All you have is to ask Siri, ask Alexa. You have all the answers.
And it seems the more availability that we have to information is the more crazy we are for it, right? We're having this discussion. It's an information. It's information slash entertainment. right?
Yes,
We're putting
yes,
the two together, but the driving force behind it is the information. And that's just coming from what's going on in my head, what's going on in your head, right? So that's how available our products can be to us. Yeah. So it's you don't no longer need to just think about the entertainment side. Now we can use information. And the beauty of it is that our life story, every single high, every single low now becomes validated. It becomes something that you no longer have to look back and despise. Because if you have brought yourself from a low point to a high, you have learned many, many, many life lessons along the way. And those life
yes.
lessons are the things that you are now qualified to teach. Because no matter what institution you go to, whether you do it via university, the one thing that they will tell you is that they will say, yes, you've learned the theory. Now you have to put it into practice. And when you are going through your life journey and you're getting those life experiences, that's practice 1000-fold. So
Exactly,
everything,
because I believe that experiences are a lot more valuable than what you are learn in school, right? What are you are taught in school? And I'm really, really like very aware that the school system has been failing us and is keep failing us. And I think us, simple people like you and me, are able to transform the way that we learn and inspire people around us, right? Because we have the experiences, we know the lows, we know the high, and then we know how to be in balance and inspire people with the skills that we have. Please continue.
exactly. I just want to corroborate that in the sense that it doesn't give us life less. It doesn't teach us life lessons. It
No,
sells us a false reality. Most of us have been sold into a false reality. I was sold into a false reality up
me too.
until, right, there you go. Up until a year and a half ago, I was sold into the reality that I work 9 to 5. I wake up in the morning and I go to a job. I sit behind the desk, I tap away at a keyboard for a salary, and I will do that for 65 years of my life. And it probably will be more because they're pushing it up every single time. And once I've done that, only then am I worthy to begin to start enjoying life. Yeah.
If you have enough money.
If you have enough money, number one, and if you haven't worked yourself down into the ground in the process where your health has suffered. So by the time you hit 65, you're not even well enough to enjoy life. And that's the
Yes,
reality that we've been sold, right? And that's the reality that many, many people wake up to every single day. And I,
yes. As Greg made a comment, history is lying to us, which teachers are teaching to our children.
right,
No, so I'll give you just a quick intro of my life. For 35 years, right? I'm 36 and a half now. For 35 years, I was the shadow of my ego,
right,
right? So I gone through life. I've been through so many situations, experiences, that when I look backward, I'm thinking, oh my God, how I was able to be so asleep and to still be alive. And I think so many people are still doing that every single day, thinking that is the right thing to do.
mm-hmm. And
Yeah, so Greg again said, which is wrong health before wealth, my friends.
yes, 100% all the way. Because if you've not got your health, yeah, if you haven't got your health, you haven't got anything. Yeah, you can have all the money in the world, but people will trade when they get into that situation when they're lying on their dying bed and they've got all the millions in the bank. They will trade all of that to be able to grab life again. Do you know what I mean?
There is an Indian monk. He said that the poorest people in the world, I mean, they are so poor, so damn poor, because the only thing that they have is money.
Right.
This is so deep. Like Like I was the same. Like 2 years ago, I used to run a business valued about £500,000. I was having loads of money, but my life was so miserable and so infectious with random people that they were teaching me about their life. And instead, I have discovered that life is not about the one around you. I mean, they have a huge impact on you, but you have to be very selective. How do you spend your time?
100%. 100%. It's one of the most precious commodities. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes,
And it's, well, first of all, I have to let people recognize that even though we are going to 9 to 5 jobs, we have to recognize that we are the only thing of value in this entire existence, in this entire system, in this entire, whatever you want to call it, capitalism, whatever the posh name we put onto it. The only thing of value is the people, is us
exactly. And nature.
and nature, right? And even when we've got precious metals, we've got gold and we've got, silver, whatever, the rubies, diamonds, whatever you want to call them, and we call them precious metals, and we put amazing, like massive price tags by them to give them massive value, right? But think about it, every diamond is in the ground. And it takes us and our energy to use whatever machine or to bring it out. If we take it out by hand and we then shine it up. We actually effectively make it into something that is usable, that is into a commodity. So as the human race and as nature, it's the only thing of value. And that's also another example of being caught up in a purpose. You're fulfilling somebody else's purpose, but what is your true calling? Yeah. And that's why I keep talking about this over and over again, why I'll keep mentioning calling over and over again. And why I will say to people, it's not about finding your purpose in life. Just by being a mother or by being a father, you have purpose. Your child will give you purpose. Yeah.
Yeah,
You go to a job and they give you a title, suddenly you have purpose. I was an engineer, I had purpose. So you can have multiple purposes, right? But you can only have one calling. And that is a very, very clear distinction. Yeah.
totally. Yeah. To share with you my experience, exactly 5 months ago, on 21st of May, I've been dismissed from Uber, right? I've been the drivers for 5 years plus. When I started with them in 2013, they used to have a one-room office with three people inside, right? They were just the early days. Right now, when they dismiss me, and the whole this 5 years period, I have built up a company around the business model, and I have brought my family, my cousin, my sister from other countries to come here to work for them. I have brought random people from abroad to work here for them. So basically, I have gave them not only 80 or 100 hours per week. I have gave them all my mind and thoughts to help them to build a business, right? Now, I think the valuation is going to go up to $120 billion. And instead, they just got rid of me because I have received 11 complaints in 5 years, in 9,000 job trips. And there were even some miserable complaints, like I've been stopped by the police for a routine control, and they took it that was a genuine complaint, right? So one complaint was for every 820 trips, and they said that I am not valuable enough for them, so they just got rid of them. No answer to the call, no option to go back or to have a say, right? So I'm just a number. Another point that I want to make is that yesterday I shared a video that the employees of Amazon, they were so happy that the minimum wage was raised from X to $15 an hour. So Can you imagine people are happy being as employees working for $15 an hour? I think this is a problem.
Yeah.
This is a mentality, education, culture, tradition problem.
I think so too. And if you've ever heard me speak before, one of the things I talk about, which rings true with what you were saying, is what I call the technological agenda, right? And one of the things that I express through that is with capitalism. Capitalism is designed to make money and extend profits. That's its sole purpose. That's its sole goal.
Yeah,
That-
but it's not for the whole, it's for the individuals,
That's right.
few individuals.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So it's about making money and extending profits. And anything, and as a capitalist boss, anything that they feel affects that, they want to, they see it as a problem, they want to get rid of it. Now, up until 10 years ago, jobs were something that we were promised because there was no other way, right? They had to use us as human beings for their goals, they had to give us a purpose to help to push their goals, and have us as the driving force behind capitalism, right? But think about us. We are, as you said, we are vibrant, wonderful human beings that are on a wonderful journey called life. And things affect us because we have emotions. So if we have something happen to us at home, we bring it into work, it can affect our productivity. We can have our off days. We're all human. Yeah, it's a common phrase. Also, if we need to be paid, we need time off, we need sick pay. All of these things to a capitalist boss eats into their money and their ability to make profits. So if we
Yeah,
think about where they're taking us logically, I'm going to wrap it. If where they're taking us logically, they want to remove us out of the position of being the driving force behind capitalism. Hence, why a lot of technology is being advanced at a very rapid rate, and why we're seeing that all of the shop fronts and all of the literally our physical landscape has changed, and everything is making a mad rush to be moved online. And that is because they no longer want us to be the driving force behind capitalism. They just want us to simply be the consumer. And that
yes.
that is why we will continuously see people who have devoted hours and years, life, resources, time to companies, you know, literally overnight see no loyalty from that company whatsoever. Happened to me. Literally, I had done an amazing job for this company. I was one of the reasons, as you said, why they were laughing all the way to the bank. I turned up every single day, even though I hated it. I still turned up and I did a great job. I still stood up and conducted the meetings and showed them how they were making their profits, right? But I was replaced instantly by a machine, because at the end of the day, it's not about the care that they have for us. It's not about the calling is not about making an impact in terms of giving us all work. The calling is about making an impact on uh, the
On the profits.
accountant's register, right? The profits. And that's the harsh reality of it. But I still think, to be fair, Sergio, I think it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, it's hurt.
That happened to us.
Yeah, you do as well.
Yeah, well, no, I'm happy that happened to me because right now I am able to do something that I'm passionate about, to talk with people, to teach other people, right? So for me, is like, sometimes, as you said previously, even the negativity that happens in your life for you, if you behave as a student of your life, you are able to learn a lot more from your failures, from your negativity, than from what uh, good things happen from your success, right? So as Steve Jobs said, we are going to be able to connect the dots looking backward. And yeah, I would like to mention, Reinhold said, like, Uber lost a good person. Thank you very much, Reinhold. But as for the big companies, we are just a name and a number. They lost, we win. A new adventure and new goals. Exactly like prisoners, they are sent there with a name, with a number tag, and this is it. But on the nowadays society, modern slavery is not in chains, is in debt.
Mm-hmm. 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 And
because I think overall, all the countries in the world, apart three, right? All the 250 countries, they borrowed money from IMF, Internationally Monetary Fund. Who is behind that? I don't know. Few families probably,
mm,
right? So we are modern slaves.
I take it a step further. I say it's the imprisonment of our time. Do you understand? Because for me, money is just a is something that we attach meaning to enable us to exchange services and barter. But if we
Yes.
decided one day that the pen in my hand was now the new currency, literally, it's just a belief system. If we decide that today the pen in my hand is the new currency, and we can do it today. If I say to you, Sergio, take this pen, and in exchange, can you give me 2 eggs? And you are happy to do that, we've literally traded in currency, right?
This this is what I this is what we started, right? Tarok, a couple thousand years ago. This that ever started. But then probably in about, yeah, then we money was involved into our transaction, and nowadays is centralized money. This is that I don't like. But happily now the fourth revolution has started, which is IoT, Internet of Things, blockchain technology, and AI, artificial intelligence. These technologies are going to detract us from the centralization system that we have created. And if we take action, I think it's going to take a few decades, but at least we have a hope that we are taking power in our hands and we are going to change things.
Do you know what we're going into? We're going into very murky territory right here because we could go on a crazy debate about that because I think both those things are cool, but they're also a double-edged sword. And just as they improve things, they also can make things not as equally as good. But I want to kind of refrain from that and bring it back to the fact that what I feel is key is our time. Let's recognize that us and our time is the thing of value and is what's precious. And you talked about an element of modern day slavery. One of the things that I will say is that it's the imprisonment that we've got inside our own minds about how we should be spending our time, right? We've been sold into a framework of how we should be spending our time. And what I like to encourage people to think about is how do you really want to be spending your time? And what should you really be doing to spend your time? And so that is for me is a really, really healthy debate because as you said, things are going to come and go. You know, we technological revolution, artificial intelligence, all these different things are going to come and then they're going to shift and then someone else is going to bring something else in. But the one thing that's never going to change is that us as human beings are the things of value. It is our time that makes any of these things even gives any of these things value. And we need to recognize that we need to take control of our time and think about how we want to be using it
Okay, so how do we take control of our time?
by finding your calling. It's as simple as that. Finding your calling tells you what problem the universe created for you to solve.
How okay, so yeah, how to find your calling. Okay, what if you have, because for example, lucky me, I got into a business opportunity, a great project that I'm promoting, but still people live in a lack of, in a scarcity. They don't believe, they don't want to learn, and they are fearful.
Mhm.
How can you combat this kind of situation?
How can you combat it?
Yeah, how can you make it work for you?
Right. Well, first of all, I think the main thing is that someone will change when they're ready to change. Yeah. So that's the first
Yes.
thing. We can't take responsibility for someone taking action. And as I explained, life will force you to take action. Yeah, you're gonna get to that point where the rug's gonna be pulled from under your feet enough times for you to recognize that you have to do something differently. Einstein, I love this quote. It's like a mantra for my life. And the moment I see myself doing it, I stop and I turn around. And he said, the first sign of madness is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. I'll say it again.
Yes.
First sign of madness is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Yeah. So,
Yeah. So one second. And Wayne Dyer said, once you take a different look at things, things change.
right, right. Yeah. And so, and I gave you a classic example in terms of something that I did to take my calling and how I began to make the shift because I understand I'm not about romantic notions. Quit your job and just move off and start doing something else. We're going to be a bit realistic here. But what I explained to you was I said to you that I was doing my 9 to 5 and I got told that they were going to fire me because they had a new computer that they had new technology in, and so I was no longer needed because they could run the organization with less engineers. And as I said, in that moment, I felt the fear and the lack of understanding what's going to happen next, which many people will fear. However, I also had that optimism within me, like this is an opportunity for me to really find out what I wanted to do. I still got another contract role, right? So I got another contract role, but in my mind, my focus was on I'm going to use this opportunity to find my calling. And I feel that there's lots of times I've seen to people who say to me, I've been on so many different courses and I've got all of this information. And but how am I going to how am I going to make my money? How am I going to become rich from that? The fact of the matter is that you have to do something with the information that you are given, right? You actually have to seek it. And 9 times out of 10, those people that get the information or have the solution don't take action on it. And then what they do is they then move into the effect side of things, which I explained about earlier, where they blame the course tutor or they blame the person that facilitated them or they blame the course for not giving them the information they need, when really what they're saying is, I wanted the course to do it for me. Nobody's going to do something for you. You have to do it for yourself, right? So that's the first thing. So once you recognize that you've got an opportunity to find out what you want to do, which is the calling, as I said, even if you are working your 9 to 5 job, proactively take half an hour of your day, 20 minutes, whatever you can afford, set that time aside to start taking action on your dream. It may even be, when we look at branding like you've done, Sergio, just to start doing Facebook Lives, just to start
Yes.
sharing your knowledge. Because what's going to happen is the more that you continue to do this, people are going to start inviting you onto their shows. And then before you know it, you're going to now be in a situation where people are paying you to come and do these things. And your life needs
Yes.
to transform.
I can't wait.
Yeah, right? So I'm saying that you're saying to me, well, how do people begin to transition their lives? How do people begin to move in their calling? I've said it from the beginning of the show. I show people through cyber celebrity branding. Yeah, and I've already explained you don't need to have lots of money to do it. I've just explained that one of the things was education versus entertainment. And I explained that we all have information inside our heads, right? So then what we have to then do is when we've got that information inside our heads, we look at ways that we can share that information and we can help people to overcome the life lessons that we experience. Remember, I said to you, life is the biggest teacher, right? So what do people pay for? We pay for solutions. We want to get from A to Z in the quickest route possible. Yeah? We can all muddle our way
Yes.
through, but there's so much pain. We can all not get there without, let's say, a coach or a mentor. But there's so much pain in that journey, whereas our mentor's been through that pain. Our coach has been through that pain and can show us a very quick route to get to where we need to be, which will help our lives to shift. Yeah. So sometimes we
True.
need to recognize that we can't do it all on our own. And if you're stuck in a rut and you want to make a transformation in your life, or you're fearful about doing it, or you're fearful about taking the step away from the 9 to 5 job, even though you feel that you should, then find someone that's going to be able to help you and mentor you to get to that next level. But as I said before, one thing that you don't do when it starts getting tough is retreat. Yeah. And when we talk about fear, which there's so many it's an acronym for so many things, but I use false evidence appearing real. When we talk about fear, we have to recognize that it's conjured up by our ego, right?
Yes.
And our ego wants to keep us happy. Let's not get it twisted. Like we talk about ego, yeah, we think, well, exactly, I'm being controversial here, right? And I'm going to show you why. Because your ego wants to keep you safe.
Safe, yes.
Yes. And in our minds, what do we all run away from pain. Do you understand?
Yeah.
We will come
Our brain is designed. Our brain is designed to keep us to act on survival mode, right?
right,
Fight or flight,
right.
right? So
So that's
this
why I
is
say,
yes,
I
please
say the
go.
ego keeps us is there to try and make us happy. Yeah, it's there to keep us comfortable, so we don't move forward, so we don't expose ourselves to pain, right? But there are also other things like our dreams and our goals that also want to make us happy. If you think about them as little individual people, right? So ultimately, it's not about hating it; it's about understanding that you've got to rise above it. And when these things begin to come up and recognize that there's these other aspects to ourselves that want us to be happy also, such as our callings, our dreams, our goals, our ambitions. And that one thing that's trying to keep us small is a loud voice, but it doesn't beat all those other voices. And it's now just time to start listening to those other voices. And then very soon, the ego will begin to be put in check because it will recognize that ultimately all of these other voices that are talking to us as well have the one thing in common, that they all want to make us happy, right?
Totally.
So that's
Yes. Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, we had so we got so deep into it, and I would like to ask you the question: what is your definition of greatness?
my definition of greatness is finding your calling and impacting as many people with that calling as possible. I believe that we're all here to help with the evolution of humanity. Yeah. And as I explained, I believe that every single one of us have an element which we're meant to share with the world, which will help in that process. And so when we find that element and we then share it and then we help humanity to evolve, I don't think there's anything greater than that. So my definition of greatness is finding your calling and then living it to impact as many people as possible. And people
Yeah,
doing that, I look at them as great. And I don't care how big or how small, because we're all cogs in a bigger in a bigger clock, let's say. We're all together, we make this thing work. So I don't care how small or what the perception of your particular role may be, as long as you are living your calling and you are impacting as many people as you can with that calling, you are great.
yeah, definitely. Because I said yesterday on an episode with Mohammed that how I have overcome the fear in my life. I have trained myself and practice love, right? And the moment that I started to share the love with my family, friends, and even with male, right? Before getting into this space of pure and blissfulness, love, I used to be that kind of person that even now I have friends. One of my friends yesterday said, uh, Sergio, stop telling me that you love me. My girlfriend will read the message. I said, "Do this is a natural love for me. I love everybody, even if you are male or female. There is different love, right? But some people they have been habitually conditioned by the environment that love you don't have to say it,
Mhm.
you don't have to use this word, and you don't have to share it, especially with men, right? So I think that more you practice love in your life, fear just disappears. And obviously, ego for me, it's just an illusion, a human illusion, but is there, is created by your environment and by your experience and by your pleasurable needs and desires that I want to feel pleasure for uh, X certain things. So yeah, wow, very powerful episode. Before asking my last question, how do you define your next 3 years from now on? What would be your journey?
So my thing is that I've now found my calling is the whole idea of cyber celebrity branding. I think that it's an amazing solution for people who are looking to really discover what their purpose and their calling is. Yeah, and it's an amazing way to give them the support and the tools that they need to use that to impact as many people as possible, while at the same time earning a living from it so they can continue to do that. And I think that that's a mechanism and a tool and a form of education that, as you said, within schools, we're not taught how to do that. Yeah, we're taught many other things, but then when it comes to the practicalities of living day-to-day life, we're not taught to do that. And I believe when you step out to create a cyber celebrity brand, it makes you into a better person. It makes you into that better version of yourself because the driving force behind it is the impacts that you can make. The driving force behind it is the other person that you can help to find their calling or that solution that you solve. And because it is a brand that's intrinsically linked to who you are, you have to be a shining example of what you are trying to the for the problem that you are trying to solve. So many times businesses create logos. They hide behind the logo and they present all of this wonderful stuff. But when you meet the person behind the brand or the logo, you realize that they've been selling you a lie. Do you understand what I mean? But with what I'm
Yes.
doing, it's about you to be that best version of yourself. And if everyone is striving to be the best version of themselves, humanity is going to evolve and we're all going to move into a better solution. So for me, in the next 3 years, I'm going to keep spreading that message. That's my calling. That's what I have been brought here. One of the things I've been brought here to do. And I'm going to continue to do that to help each and every single one of us to get to the place where we are the best version of ourselves and we are also able to sustain a very comfortable living from doing it. So that's what my next 3 years are going to look like. And then there's going to be lots of other stuff on hosting, presenting, and you're going to see me all over the place. But that will be the core thread that will constantly be flowing through me.
Totally. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to find your calling, connect with Jorel. If you want to build up your brand, to monetize your skills, get get in touch with Jorel. We're gonna share this live all over social media.
Say, Sergio, as well, is that I've got a 3 day event that I do. I've actually got one that's happening on the 26th to the 28th. So this Friday it starts. I've got a couple more spaces left because I'm working with a very small group of people. I like to be able to give people the time that they need. There's a couple more spaces left. And if anyone's resonated with any of the stuff that we've had here, or they're feeling like, I want to make that shift, I want to make that change, in these 3 days where we spend dedicated time to it, we will build your cyber celebrity brand and create that roadmap that you need to evolve into the better person of yourself, make the impact, but at the same time, as you said, monetize your skills. And I will show you how to do that in those 3 days and also help you to implement that after those 3 days have taken place. So if people are interested in doing that, just leave a comment below and I will then look through and I'll get in touch with you and show you how. As I said, I've only got 3 more spaces. So if you want to be on there, take action now. Take action now.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah. So my last question for today is, what is the impact that you want to have in the world?
So the impact that I want to have in the world and the legacy that I want to leave is I want to be someone that motivated people to achieve their own personal greatness yeah, but at the same
Mhm.
time provided them with the tools to ensure that it was achievable. All right. I often see that, there's lots of motivational speakers out there, and they speak about these wonderful concepts, and they really capture people's imaginations, and people really understand the mental principles. But then in terms of the practicality of those steps, when you start to try and start making those things happen, there's lots of hurdles that come in the way, which is part of the process. But then there's not the concrete solid steps to help you to make that transition model. Where I feel that there's a way for me to improve it is by not only spreading the ability for people to be inspired and be motivated, but by giving them and then letting them recognize that they have those tools inside themselves to make those transitions and to bring that out of them. Passionate about
Okay,
it.
yes. Thank you so very much for the powerful insights that you share with us, Jorel. And
Freezing.
thank you. Can you repeat that because I wasn't able to hear you?
I was saying it was freezing, but we're good now. We're all good.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah. So thank you so very much for everybody that watched the show. Let's spread the word around and just hit the like button or make any comment, observation, or suggestion that you have. Please share it on your social media, and let's construct a community that is going to transform other people around the world. Thank you so very much, Jorel. See you in 30 episodes. I will invite you again.
Beautiful. I look forward to it, man. You keep doing what you're doing. And as I say to
Yeah.
people, just keep putting these shows out there, because you don't know whose lives you are touching. You are touching many, many people's lives. And you could be that one thing that's said by one of the um, people that come onto your show, could be that one thing that someone needs to hear, that's going to help them to shift their life or stop them from doing something that they might ultimately regret. So you're doing a great thing, my friend, and keep it up.
Thank you very much. Yeah, this is my mission, and I will obey to it. My most powerful question is, how may I serve you? I say that to the universe, and the universe reply back, how may I serve you? I think this is the secret. Thank you. Bye
Beautiful.
bye,
Take
everybody.
care. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye
All
bye.
the best. Bye bye.